by far one of the most prominent and one of the faces of the Monster Hunter franchise. In all honesty, guys, him, Rathalos, and Diablos need to be in every game. There is no if and or buts about it. These guys are literally the poster child dash the staple boys of the entire Monster Hunter franchise. There is no way I would ever play a game without these three in them. But today we're here to talk about the Lord of Thunder, the Thunderwolf Wyvern, the, well, the Lightning Bug Warehouse. Alright, we have Zinogre from Monster Hunter, seeing if it can survive in Ark. So in all honesty, yeah, I think this should be a pretty fun video. Now let's break down Zinogre's stats, right? Zinogre is by far one of the most capable, well, predators in Monster Hunter. It's actually an apex wyvern, standing toe to toe, and in the same category as things like Rathalos, Tigrex, Barioth, and, well, Devil Joe. It's one of the few monsters that Devil Joe tries to prey on and ends up getting a nasty scar from it. So yeah, it's known as one of the few monsters that can actually fight off a Devil Joe. All right, it's also able to fight against Elder Dragons. Now, the sad origin about Zinogre is that he's an invader not by choice, but by circumstances. He unfortunately had to leave his homeland from the mountains, where he was just pretty much preying on Garguas all day, and had to become an invasive wyvern because, well, Amatsu drove him out. So again, it's really not fair to him, but at the end of the day, he made it staple. Zinogre is actually able to take down the likes of certain monsters like Duramboros, okay? Now, it's never stated how often it's able to take down Duramboros, but it is able to put Duramboros as a prey item on, well, it's on his menu. I just don't I just don't see a problem with that at all. It's able to use Duramboros as a prey item, able to use other monsters that it can prey on, like Azeros. Okay, it actually feeds and eats on Azeros pretty easily. So again, this really shouldn't surprise you here. It's also able to eat Coral Pookie Pookie. Yeah, this is actually one of the few predators of a Pookie Pookie. Alright, so this means it competes with Anjanath and a couple other predators for, well, the rights to eat anything else. It also eats Aptonoth. You have Apteros, Kestodons, and it even is able to visit the Elder Recess and become a Stygian Zinogre because the Draco or the Thunderbugs become Dracophage bugs. Or maybe it's just a different kind of bugs that simply use Zinogre to produce a stronger and more powerful lightning. Okay? So in all honesty, yeah, Zinogre is actually a pretty powerful predator in its own right, but can it survive Ark? My answer is yes, and here's why. Zinogre sits at the top of the food chain in any biome. It could sit on the top of the food chain if it really wanted to. I mean, this thing would bully out an Anjanath. It'd be able to fight against the likes of an Ebony Odogaron, possibly even winning that fight. You guys know how much I hold Ebony Odogaron to a higher standing, right? It's able to, fight against and even harm the likes of a Rathalos, Brachydios, etc., so on and so forth. It's able to harm these monsters pretty easily, even take them down. It actually competes with Legiana in the Coral Highlands for, well, food. It competes with Legiana to prey on Raphanos and, well, Coral Pookie Pookie. There's really not much I could say about it. It's very possible it also goes and preys on the likes of Palumo as well. And I'm going to say that's a very big possibility that he does here. I really just don't see any other possibility for him not to prey on the likes of Coral Pookie Pookie. It's just a very high possibility. It's just a very high, and it's confirmed that it's preyed upon Coral Pookie Pookie before. Meaning that, well, it just has its takes here. Now, in terms of maps he can survive on, it really doesn't matter. He can survive on every island map. I even think he would even survive Rockwell's Garden and etc. Okay? He would simply survive those maps easily. Like there's really no if and or buts about it. He would simply survive those maps, no problem. Okay, like it would be a field day from any island type map or any Arctic based map. He would survive it pretty easily. He would really just be a overgrown dire wolf in those environments with some steroids. All right, and yes, I mean with some steroids, like some extra steroids, okay? He would literally survive and even thrive in these environments, okay? There's really nothing that any of these creatures could do. I bet the only creature it would probably have trouble with are like alphas and gigas. I think it would easily kill an alpha raptor. Plus, if we look at the game's mechanics here, its lightning ability would be able to stun prey for it, thus allowing it to eat. It might even be a somewhat of a swamp dweller, being able to invade any environment it wants here. I think I would like that for Zinogre to be such an invasive species in the, the Arc franchise that it can even just wander up to your base at any given time, meaning that base defenses would be pretty important. Okay. Now, as for taming this creature, it would be a high level creature. I definitely say it would be like one of the highest. I'd say it would be higher than a T Rex even. I would actually say you would have to tame this but via knockout tame, but you have to trap it and set cannonballs upon it on every front. All right. Just to trap it, I would say you'd be able to break steel, wood, and stone. So you would have to use a certain, you would have to bear trap it so it doesn't move, put it in a steel cage, right, and then bombard it with cannonballs from all sides, or your basic knockout darts and knockout tranks or whatever. Now, what would he eat in this verse? Considering he preys on gargoyles, which are basically these overgrown birds, right? And we always talk about the modded additional creatures edition on here. It would definitely be able to eat an Anzu. Yeah, I don't really see any I just don't see any other reason why he should not prey on Anzus here. I just think there's just such a good food item for him. Gallimimus would be interesting to see him try and chase down, considering they're one of the fastest creatures in the game. I just don't see it just working out for him. Just don't see. Sorry, I see it working out for him. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted here. And considering the fact that in the old world it would just prey on anything it wanted, I just think like sauropods like Nigersaurus, Amargasaurus, whatchamacallit, Diplodocus. Okay, I just think these dinosaurs would just prove very good prey items for it. Therizinosaurus gives it a hard time, but he's able to eat it. It would probably be smart into what it challenges. Definitely not a herd of like Triceratopses. Maybe it depends though. It might be a bigger carnivore, considering the fact that it might get into fights with things like Allosaurus packs. Raptors would be, well, pretty easy. I think that's pretty honest here. It would get into fighting raptor packs, maybe Carnotauruses, Utyrannus, and Carnotaurus packs, put together. I can see it hunting things like sabers and, direwolves, etc., etc. It would basically be a much bigger and much stronger creature. Now, what would this thing bring to the table as far as like PvP or PvE? Well, for one, you having a creature that's able to, well, do better than a direwolf, has a better pack bonus, and you can team it up with direwolves to give you basically this like minion or alpha type boost here. Like, no matter how you're going to see it, it's always going to be the alpha in like any given in like any given situation. Now, you could actually use this thing to stun other creatures. That way, you could produce a better tame. You could also stun creatures and get away. You could raid enemy bases with this and just a bunch of direwolves. And then it gives them like a damage boost or whatever. Okay? You could do so many things with Zinogre that it wouldn't be... Yeah, it just wouldn't be fair to anybody at all. Like, this creature would just be super, super broken. And considering the fact that, like, it competes with so many other monsters on the regular. I think it's probably like Astalos. maybe Saragios. I don't think it would have trouble with things like Dino Crocruta, which are also a part of the game here. I think the only ones that give it trouble are like Acrocanthosauruses and Gigateer. Gigateer is supposed to be above alphas, so and alphas pretty much just munch through everything on sight, and Gigas are just simply like above that altogether. They're just like just way above that. It also has plenty of food to prey on. Apatosauruses, you could also say Apatosauruses, Passeratheriums, woolly rhinos. I think that would be pretty interesting if you have to feed it rhino horns instead of actual food. You have to feed it rhino horns like what you call it, like a mantis. Okay, has the same taming method as a mantis, but much more worth it than the mantis. As for gathering specialties, raw prime meat and organic polymer. Okay, definitely raw prime meat and again an organic polymer. It might even go into swamps and probably pay on Sarcosuchuses, so you could probably give it like Sarcosuchus skins, and maybe it could be a good harvester of certain elements. Like say if like you could harvest like 5 Sarco skins from one Sarcosuchus, or maybe even more than that. So anyway, you guys, if I had to conclude here, yes, Zinogre can survive an arc and even thrive in it. All right, you would definitely thrive in some of the best environments. Even I even think on Aberration and Rockwell's Garden, he would be able to thrive there and pretty probably own it. Just struggling with the things like Giganotosaurus or maybe even Reapers. But hey, that's going to be all for here today, guys. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day out here in this crazy year of 2022. This is Legendary Ghidorah. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. And I'll see you guys later, or see you guys tomorrow for the next video. Peace.